Okay, so I think we're live. Welcome, everybody. This is Kiara. It's January 30th, 2021. So, this has been a weekly meditation. We're doing this 3 times a week, and now we've been focusing on just Saturdays and working with a variety of different meditation practices and themes that are relevant to us in this age and time. So I just want to make sure that people are able to hear me and see me. So if anybody is on this broadcast, please let me know. And feel free to introduce yourselves and where you're from and any questions you might have at any point. So I'd like to make this as interactive as we can. Hey, Francesca, good morning from Cyprus. I'm currently in South India. Hey, Carolyn, wonderful, from France. All right, we're on. So I'll continue and just chime in anytime you have a question or comment or feeling or inspiration. Linda, hey, another one from Italy. Great. Yeah, we have quite an international group already in different time zones. So thank you for joining in. So I thought today I'd like to maybe talk about alchemy a little bit. Rachel, so alchemy is something that's been kind of a secretive mystery that isn't talked about much, and when it is talked about, is usually in images and words that are quite esoteric and may not have much relevance to these times. So there's all kinds of alchemical scriptures, mostly about turning lead into gold, which is besides the point. It's not about turning physical or gross physical substances into something else, but it's really about transforming our psychic being, the nature of our essential human self. And so this is something that we in this age and this time are facing very prominently, just because we're in a time that we are crossing over from one dimensional reality into another, where we are preparing for a new race of humanity, a new culture, a new spirituality, a new biological entity that's also very much tied in with the journey of Gaia. In fact, in our solar system, the Earth is probably the only planet that has the conditions necessary for this phase of spiritual evolution. I'm not talking just about flora and fauna and outer physical conditions. I'm talking about the esoteric aspects of this planet. The way that our planet is connected to other beings and energies within our galaxy and beyond. So Gaia is a highly intelligent, conscious, advanced soul who has chosen to offer herself for this evolutionary experiment. And we are invited here to be part of that. So, hey, Edith, hey, 12th dimension. Well, actually, that's Heroes 12th dimension from New Zealand. Wonderful. Yeah, I see you have the Eye of Horus in your logo, which we're going to talk about today. So, when we're talking about alchemy, um, yes, we're talking about many dimensions of reality. We're talking about ancient traditions of various mystery schools that have been working with a select group of people to raise the physical body into a light body. And this is exactly what we're dealing with today. The conditions are here right now in this time of human and planetary history for this to be accomplished, not just on a select level, not just a few people, but on a collective level for the entire race of humanity. And this is why many of us have incarnated here. And I know for many of us, this is what excites us no end. There's like nothing that can offer us a greater reason for being here on this planet than the knowing that we're here to create a new race of humanity, a new possibility for infinity to explore itself. So what we're talking about is going to basically it's about lead into gold as a human species, lead representing the heaviness of our consciousness, the state of duality and separation that we operate within, and gold representing the golden age that we're moving into, this vibrational frequency of multidimensional consciousness that is now within our grasp. Hi, Candice from North Carolina. Wonderful. So, I feel like what we're creating is a global online community, but the separation through distance is not a separation energetically. And this energetic link that we are creating with so many others around the planet is part of this alchemy. Yvette, hi. So, all right. So let's go to the Egyptian tradition. So I've been going to Egypt quite regularly, except for last year, for obvious reasons. I've been going almost every year to swim with dolphins in the Red Sea, but also to explore the sacred mysteries in the temples and the pyramids of that ancient land. And the ancient Egyptians had a concept, had an understanding of our multidimensional being, like few other ancient cultures have. It, as a culture, as a civilization, it goes back into the last cycle of humanity. So, prior to the magnetic reversal and cataclysm that took place 12,000 years ago. So, the Great Pyramid was built prior to this and served as an initiation chamber to raise the physical body into light. This is what the meaning of alchemy is essentially about. So it's raising the khat. So in the ancient Egyptian terminology, khat represents the physical body, or in the ancient Hindu tradition, this is the Annamaya Kosha, the food body, the food sheath. So this is the physical structure. It's a form of light that's densified enough that the physical senses can perceive it. Now, there's other bodies that cannot be perceived by the physical senses, but have their own set of frequencies and senses that can perceive and can interact um, with these bodies. And in the Egyptian tradition, they spoke about the Ka, which is probably very similar to the etheric body, including the chakras, the nadis, the meridians, these subtle um, energy constructions that link to the subtler bodies, to the higher bodies. Without the pranamaya kosha or the ka, it would be impossible for the physical body or the physical consciousness to access these higher bodies and higher states of consciousness. So this is key, the ka. And much of the Egyptian tradition was preparing the ka, accessing the energy structures within the ka body, and learning to link these with the ba, with the ak, with the sa. These are all um, higher dimensional structures that we can actually link with. The ba, for instance, is the human soul. Beyond that, you have the ak, which is the divine soul. We could call it the galactic soul. And then um, the body that can be created through the ak is known as the sa. So this is like a cosmic body. It's not necessarily something we're creating as something we're experiencing as already present. So many of you have been working with me through the Inca practices. So opening doorways between the worlds, learning to link up the third dimensional structure of the human self with higher dimensional structures, expanding out, connecting with the soul of Gaia, connecting with the soul of our sun, connecting with the galactic soul, connecting with the universal soul. It's very similar. So when you're linking up the khat with the ka, with the ba, with the ak, with the sa, we are actually linking through dimensions into the universal self as well as the universal body. So making a distinction between the self and the body. The body contains the self moves through all things, but the self can also experience itself outside of all things. So outside of the physical universe, outside of time and space. Whereas anything that's embodied exists within time and space. In multiple dimensions, the universe is not a single dimension. So we're talking about third dimensional reality, which is where physical senses are located. And we're also talking about higher dimensional realities, which we can link with as we evolve into the light body. And this is what the ancient initiation practices in Egypt were about. So the practices, the initiations in the Great Pyramid were about linking these bodies together through the Merkaba. Merkaba, Mer is the same root as merging or the ocean, La Mer, or the mother, but also connecting the Ka and the Ba. So merging the Ka and the Ba and beyond. So it's interesting also in the Hebrew tradition, they talk about the Kabbalah. So you have again the Ka and the Ba. And La, I think, has something to do with the cosmic self. I'll have to check that out. Interesting also that in Mecca, at the heart of the Muslim tradition, there's the Black Rock, the Kaaba, which people would circumambulate at least once in their lifetime, as a commemoration of achieving enlightenment. So, these are all symbolic. So the Kaaba represents the merging of Ka and the Ba, circling around that to experience um, the truth of who we are. So this is what alchemy is about. So it's basically looking at how we can step into the next human species, Homo luminous, collectively. So what was originally reserved for a few people, a few initiates, who after long periods of preparation for lifetimes, not just a single incarnation, were then prepared to take that final initiation in the pyramid. Now we are collectively preparing for this same initiation to merge with the light body. What makes this different is that the energies that are coming in to prepare us for this initiation are entering from outside of our planetary system. As part of the galactic superwave emanating from the center of our galaxy, is part of a universal pulse, is part of an intention from the very heart of Creator. Sri Aurobindo refers to the seventh universe, which has to do with the next expansion that we are entering into as a physical universe. Humans happen to be a very necessary part of this, which is why Gaia cannot choose to simply get rid of us and start over again, because it would mean an entire cycle of creation gets aborted. So I've often wondered, why she bothers to keep us around. And this is partly why. Because we are so essential to this next task of universal evolution. We are the bridge between dimensions through the Merkaba. As we learn to incarnate as a light body, we become a bridge between all the dimensions of time and space across the universe. We can talk about this, but until we begin to experience it, it's just words. But this is really why we're here. And I think for those of us who understand this and feel this, there's an excitement, there's a recognition that we begin to experience on every level of our being is precious. So, yeah, thank you, all of you. Herminia, Kore, Yvette. So there's a question from Edith. But Atlantis didn't make it, and Gaia couldn't help there. What's the difference now, apart from the obvious? Yeah, it could be that this next cycle of universal evolution was initialized after Atlantis. There was a recognition that if this cycle of evolution continued, where there's constant growth followed by collapse in 12,000-year cycles, it's not enough time to achieve what we are here to achieve. And so this next cycle that we're in now is not about growth and collapse, it's about a continual spiral of growth. Sri Aurobindo talks about this. He talks about the supramental light, which is the light of primordial consciousness emanating from not just some place within time and space, as we talked about galactic superwaves, which are packets of new galactic information and codes for biological awakening. This is beyond that even. It's coming out from beyond the physical universe. So this is an intention from the heart of God, from the core of primordial consciousness, which is to experience itself as a mirror within creation, where primordial consciousness experiences itself as it is without stepping down in the way that we have learnt to do. In stepping down, we have created limitations, we have created separation. And that's not a necessity within the world of matter. Matter itself is being transformed in the way we perceive it, so that it's not something that's rigid, but rather something that's plastic, something that's fluid, something where consciousness can incarnate without losing any aspect of itself. So this is why Gaia has chosen another experimental cycle. We don't need to go back into collapse. We don't need to go back into destruction or catastrophe. The same conditions are here today as were present in Atlantis. And this is really important for us to understand. We're preparing for a magnetic reversal. Actually, it's not a flip reversal, it's a 90-degree excursion. We're also preparing for a galactic superwave. We're preparing for solar micronova, probably all linked with each other. So there's a sequence of events. The way I see it, there's galactic pulses, followed by solar micronova, followed by planetary shifts in the magnetic field. In the past, what this has done is create extinction-level catastrophes. So we're not just talking about one cycle, Atlantis, we're talking about several cycles going back and back and back in periods of about 12,000 years apart. So the same conditions exist now, or will exist soon. In about 2.5 years, the location of the North Polar axis, the magnetic axis, will have crossed a critical point somewhere around 40 degrees north latitude, beyond which this collapse of Earth's magnetic field accelerates exponentially. So if this was happening 12,000 years ago, this would be the beginning of a major global catastrophe. And somewhere subconsciously imprinted within us is that expectation of global catastrophe. So it's a deep subconscious fear that we carry, and our deep subconscious expectation that we carry. And we have to understand that this is not what we are creating this time around. And so we can let go of that expectation, that fear, the subconscious sabotage. So this time around is something altogether new. We feel it, we know this on a biological level, even though we may not understand it on a conscious mental level. So this is what alchemy is about right now. It's about transitioning from the old cycle of humanity to a new cycle, from limitation to fullness, from death to immortality, uh, from darkness to light, from relativity to wholeness. So we've been dealing with relative truth, duality, dark and light, and good and bad, negative and positive. We're going beyond that, to where all of that is embraced and held within a greater wholeness. And this greater wholeness is the supramental light that's pouring in, that's working through the conditions of this earth, through our political, economic, social, environmental conditions, to essentially raise us into a new vibration of light. So when people talk about the shift from third dimensional to fifth and sixth and higher dimensional consciousness, that's basically what we're talking about. Even though we can't, it's difficult to pin it down in these familiar terms because it's not yet become our experience. So we're only talking about it rather than experiencing it. So my hope is that, as we go further into this age of light, that more of us learn how to experience this, how to activate this within our DNA, within our consciousness, within our collective uh, human experience. Yeah, it says, especially scary for some of us who have lived in Atlantis. Not some of us, all of us have lived in Atlantis. All of us who are here at this time are here because it's a pivotal time, because we've experienced Atlantis, we've experienced the trauma, the tragedy of those times. We've experienced the failure, the point of failure, where we had to abort our mission. And this time around, Gaia has chosen to move forward past that. And she's invited us to return at this time to participate. Is it true our galaxy is in an asteroid belt? In my understanding, that our galaxy comprises billions of solar systems. The asteroid belt is simply one failed planet within one solar system that we are part of. There's a synchronizing pulse that connects all the stars within any given galaxy, which also connects galaxies to each other and supergalactic clusters to each other. And all of these pulses are somehow connected with this galactic superwave. It's like the heartbeat of the galaxy. And this same heartbeat moves out across the Milky Way. We are experiencing it now. We're beginning to experience this frequency of light. It's coming in through cosmic rays, it's coming in through gamma rays. These are the highest frequencies of the light spectrum. We're receiving this into our solar system. It's already creating profound changes within the outer planets of our solar system. So the Kuiper belt, beyond Pluto, the trans-Pluto planets, there's significant changes within Pluto where the polarity of Pluto has reversed already. Same thing with Neptune. Uranus is going through this now. So the outer planets moving in, they've already been massive shifts in the magnetic fields, in atmospheric makeup. There's things going on which the Earth will be experiencing, which we can foretell. Um, and this is why it's so important that we hold a certain frequency of collective consciousness before this wave passes through. Um, if we did not make that shift before this happens, it's very likely that we could go through what we went through in Atlantis. The good news is that we have already made that shift. And so now things are changing very, very rapidly. There's rapid collapse and releasing of hucha, which is what's held us back from experiencing our true self. And in the process, we're awakening to what we truly are. And all the systems of governance are responding to this galactic pulse. Political systems are changing. Our economic systems are changing. So, many of you have been following the work of people like Simon Parkes and Charlie Ward. There's a quantum financial system that's going to be replacing fiat currency. That's going to be replacing the Rothschild monetary system that's created slavery and top-down control. And all of that is collapsing now. So there's a new system of human governance that's coming into power based on our multidimensional link. It's like a holographic link that we each begin to experience, recognizing that we're not isolated entities separate from each other in competition with each other, but a single organic being that is the consciousness of Gaia. The closer we get to that awareness, the more we'll be experiencing how all the systems of life on this planet very rapidly begin to change. Okay, so hey, Hatsi, Anna, Krista, Alina, wonderful. Thank you for participating. Edith is saying, I watched a video where they were saying that by 2040, this will be the heaven we're talking about. That's only 19 years from now. I believe that. We don't have much time in terms of human years. It's an unfoldment. We're in the last phases of this unfoldment. And what happens is the preparation can take time. But when we are going through the last phases of transformation, things happen very quickly. We've crossed that point. Maybe it was last December with the magic box, where we actually crossed the threshold of the critical mass that was necessary. So this is something that we'll be beginning to see very quickly and very powerfully if we choose to continue on this earth and experience this. There will be many who feel that the vibrational frequency is too strong and too unfamiliar to remain in embodiment. There's a question, does Gaia forgive those who have disappointed her? Good question. I think forgiveness is a term that we use when we're in third dimensional consciousness. It implies that there's something wrong, that there's something, someone who's guilty and something to forgive. What if it's all part of an organic unfoldment? There's nothing wrong. It's just an experiment. It's a huge universal experiment. There's some things that work, some things that don't. And we are like participants and creators simultaneously. So there's an aspect of us that's a creator, that's running the experiment. And at the same time, there's an aspect of us that's a participant within this experiment. We are part of Gaia. Gaia is not separate from us. She is not just an aspect of the earth that has created and generated humans and then stepped away. You know, we can each experience Gaia within ourselves. So it's the more relevant question is, can we forgive ourselves? Can we choose to start over in a new way that's more inclusive, that's more participatory, that's more conscious? And yes, the answer to that is yes, we have chosen collectively, and we are choosing individually. Um, and the more conscious this choice becomes, the quicker this manifests. And I would say that in the next, Aditi mentioned 19 years, I think it will be much quicker. I would say within the next 5 to 10 years, there'll be such an enormous shift in human consciousness and our abilities to go beyond our limitations, to go beyond fears, to go beyond duality, to join forces with all the species of life that comprise this consciousness of Gaia. This will change our governance systems, our political, economic, social, environmental, educational systems in ways that we cannot comprehend. So this is big news. Expect this. Expect that the collapse of our existing structures. I'm not talking about the collapse of civilization or the collapse of humanity. I'm talking about the structures that are founded on duality. When those start to collapse and something new begins to emerge and replace those structures, it will be very, very organic. We'll be called in at that point to step in. Many of us have felt that we're here for a purpose, but not sure why. What is this purpose? And nothing seems to make sense. Why am I on this planet? Many of us have felt like exiting because it hasn't been the vision that we expected. But this is our time now. We are stepping into a mass field of consciousness where who we are and what we are will finally be able to step forward. Let's see. This is my sense. This is how I have been feeling, along with many others, for some time now. Exactly how that comes about is a mystery. But we are doing this together. Anna says there's grace in everything, and everything is grace. Beautiful and very much needed. Caroline is asking, what is Ba again? Is it the Anandamaya Kosha? It's not Annamaya Kosha, no. The Khat is Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha is the body of food. That's Khat, the physical structure. And then we have the Ka, which is the Pranamaya Kosha, the energy body, the etheric body. So this is the meridians, the chakras. This is how the physical body is linked with the higher bodies, how the third dimensional universe is linked with higher dimensional structures within the universe. So we talk about humans having the Pranamaya Kosha. Gaia has a Pranamaya Kosha. It's just everything in creation, every species, every planet, every galaxy. And then beyond that, we have the Mannamaya Kosha and the Vijnanamaya Kosha. These are the mental and emotional mental bodies. Um, Beyond that, we have the Ba, the soul body. The Ba has to do with the human soul, but once you truly enter into the human soul, we find that there's a conscious unity we experience with everything. So from that space, the Ba is connected with the human Ba is connected with the um, planetary soul and the galactic soul and so on. Once we expand out far enough and begin to experience ourselves as the universal soul, that's entering into um, the Ak. And when we develop a body that's capable of experiencing the universal soul, um, that's the Sa. This is where we're going. So we're actually developing what Sri Aurobindo called the supramental body, the body of light, where our consciousness can be fully manifested. The immensity of primordial consciousness can be fully experienced within a physical body, where the physical body has become a body of light. So it's actually um, learned to resonate itself with these higher bodies. So that at that stage, the Khat, the Ka, the Ba, the Ak, the Sa, they are consciously linked together. This is what alchemy is about in its, in its more expanded understandings. I'm going beyond, you know, transforming lead into gold. Although if you're in that consciousness of non-duality, it's no big deal to turn lead into gold. Masters have been known to do that, but it's no big deal. What's the point? The point is to transform the limited human consciousness, um, trapped in a limited field of perception, into fully conscious, awake beings, divine beings. That's what alchemy is really about. And there's very few people that we call masters, ascended masters, or siddhas, or saptarishis, or mahayogis, that have managed to achieve that. And now is the time that we learn to achieve that collectively as a human species, as part of this consciousness we call Gaia. So we're going far beyond the limitations of humanity, um, into what we'll see in a very few years. Carolyn, how do you spell the Sa? Just like that, S-A. Yeah, so the Ba is B-A, Ka is K-A, Ak is A-K-H, Khat is K-H-A-T. So what's happening is that the Khat, which is the body of physical matter, is being transformed into a body of much more plastic matter, what Sri Aurobindo called true matter, which is capable of holding the vibrational frequency of all these higher bodies, including the Sa. All right. Well, I went on longer than I thought I would. So let's do a meditation to close off, unless there's other questions or comments. All right. So imagine now that there's a bubble of light that completely surrounds the physical body, extending 2 meters out in all directions. So this bubble encompasses the khat as well as the ka. Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions are carried within this field in the mental and emotional bodies. And now we're going to open up this field. So imagine that there's a window over the top of this bubble. And you open this as wide as you can. And the moment you do so, you're experiencing these powerful galactic frequencies of light pouring in. You feel the supramental realms of light pouring in through that window, being received as much as possible by the aspect of us that's human, that operates within this four-body system. Passing right through the physical body, right through the etheric, emotional, and mental bodies, releasing whatever hucha, whatever blockages and fears, resistances that we've been carrying for lifetimes. Moving through layers and layers, all in its proper timing. Receiving this high vibrational frequency all the way through into the earth. And then there's a response from the earth. There's a magnetic frequency. We're receiving this from the very center of the planet. It vibrates to a level of self-awareness and truth as Gaia herself receives her own impulse of light from the center of the galaxy. And this magnetic force starts moving up through our feet, through the physical body, through the etheric, emotional, mental bodies. Moves up through the window to the sky. And then as these two currents, the electrical and the magnetic, continue to interact with each other, you feel yourself expanding further and further out. Connecting to the Ba. So you're within the Merkaba, and the Merkaba is being activated now, so that the Ka and the Ba, the Ak and the Sa, can all be linked within the Khat, can all be experienced through the Khat, through physical human consciousness. And you continue to expand further and further out, joining with the soul of the earth. experiencing yourself as Gaia, this immensely beautiful, powerful being who's offered herself for this experiment of life, of new creation. As we connect with the heart of Gaia, with the soul of Gaia, begin to experience her as she is, not in our anthroposophic way of seeing her as just a piece of planet beneath our feet, but a highly conscious, focused entity that we are now a part of as well. And once you begin to connect with the heart of Gaia, the soul of Gaia, continue to expand out through the solar system, becoming one with the sun, with the planets and the moons, the asteroid belt, beyond our solar system boundary, out into the galaxy, through the Milky Way, embracing that vastness of space, experiencing our galactic self, and connecting with the very heart of our galaxy, the galactic sun, whom the Mayas knew as Hunab-Ku. Some refer to this as the central sun. Experience yourself as one with this level of consciousness. There are packets of information being broadcast with every galactic superwave that we can receive immediately now as we tune in to the galactic sun. We receive this on non-local levels. It's nothing to do with space and time as we know it. It has to do with becoming a fractal holographic link within ourselves to the galactic plan. This is why you are here. This is why we came. Remember, it's a deep cellular memory. As the electrical and the magnetic streams of light continue to flow through your five-body system, the memories begin to awaken. So there's a comment from Core Phoenix. Beautiful, the big picture. Very useful in this ford on the shore of the new world, humankind. Hi, Maria. All right, so thank you for joining me in this. Please continue to attend these meditations every Saturday at the same time. Pass the word along. And we're also doing our Age of Pandora, 7 p.m. Mountain Time every Tuesday. So whatever time zone that matches for you. Check out my website, kiarawindrider.net. There's links to some of my books on that. If you're interested in doing some classes, some teachings on these themes, where we can actually begin to work more deeply with unifying with the light body. We're going to start off with an online series. And at some point, when it's possible to travel more, we'll be doing more physical, direct work as well. Yeah, some of you I'll see on Monday. So Francesca, Hatsi, Armenia, Karen, wonderful. So yeah, this is an ongoing series of classes that we'll be doing, that we have been doing. And we're hoping to start a new series starting next month. So either February or March. So if you're interested, please let me know. Send me a note on my email address or through my website. All right. Blessings. Much love to you all. I'm going to end this and I'm going to try and save it. I haven't mastered it yet, so hopefully it will save on YouTube. But my level of techiness is not the best. Oh, which is my best email address? Yeah, I'll write it down. Kiara@eternaldoorway.com. All right. Until soon. Blessings, y'all. Bye.